What's going on, everyone? As you can see by my fit, I'm a huge My Hero Academia fan. I even got some Funkos here in the back for My Hero Academia. I don't know if you guys can see them. You could believe me, I do have them there. I even have a lot of exclusive ones. I even have one for the character of today's topic today, Momo Yaoyorozu. How do we start about this? Listen, I just want to say this. Every single person has some little thing here and there that they don't like about My Hero Academia. I get it. But for me, the biggest disappointment has to be Momo, aka Creaty. And no, not because she's a bad character. I love Momo. She's such a sweetie. But the problem is she is one of the biggest wasted opportunities in the entire series, and that always gets to me. I don't understand you, Hiroshige. Why did you do this to her? Think about how she was introduced. She was not just some ordinary student. She was one of the students admitted to UA through a recommendation. That immediately tells the audience she's supposed to be among the best of the best. Todoroki was also a recommended student, and throughout the series, he constantly proves why he's earned that status. Momo never really does. What's frustrating is that she has one of the most versatile quirks in the entire series. She should be an absolute problem from any type of villain. She should be the #1 hero that they try to get rid of so they can move on with their plans, considering how strong her quirk is. With enough preparation and enough creativity, and with her given intelligence, she can be an absolute monster on the battlefield and be an absolute target for any villain to remove first if they want to move forward with their plans. Like, seriously, she has almost limitless applications with this quirk. Of course, it does depend on her stamina. She's gonna have to eat a lot, and I think that's a great weakness for her. You know, you can have villains saying this quirk is too strong, but maybe if we make her make too many things, she won't be a problem later on. But of course, they never have to do that because Momo's never, ever a freaking problem. Listen, some of you are probably gonna laugh at this comparison, but when I first saw Momo's quirk, I thought she was gonna be someone like Edward Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist, constantly creating new weapons and tools on the fly, adapting to every situation with intelligence and creativity, which we know that she has, but you know. Or I kind of thought, you know, given her demeanor and her ability, I kind of thought she would be like Erza Scarlet from Fairy Tail, like the cool, strong, big sister type character. And they almost have like a similar type of way of fighting, because Erza has to constantly keep changing her outfits depending on the situation to fight different type of enemies, which is very similar to Momo having to create various different objects in order to fight certain type of enemies as well. But she never lived up to any of those characters, and I get that's my fault because I thought she would be something like those characters. But man, wouldn't it have been cool if she was anything like them? I guess it's my fault. I thought she was going to be the tactical powerhouse of Class 1A, and she just never really lived up to that. And that's really sad considering how strong her quirk is. Instead, she spends most of the series as a background timid support character. And don't get me wrong, we need support characters, but in My Hero Academia, especially in Class 1A, the last thing they need is another support-oriented student. What the class actually lacks is a real female powerhouse student. None of the females are actually like front runners in that class at all. It's crazy. They pretty much, it's the only modern day type of shonen type of anime where the trio is literally just all dudes. It's really just about Bakugo, Izuku, and Todoroki. That's pretty much it. It's really crazy that in this day and age, you know, you can slip somebody in there. I mean, at least even have a quartet. Every type of modern day shonen anime at least tries to make some female look at least kind of strong. And I understand Hiroshige can make strong female characters. We've seen Mirko, we've seen Lady Nagant, we've seen Star and Strike. Granted, Star and Strike kind of got murked like 2 episodes in, and Lady Nagant kind of got used and blown up, and Mirko kind of lost all her limbs. He could write good females for a limited amount of time. We see he could do that, but it's absolutely crazy that he couldn't even give at least one female in Class 1A to at least make them a threat. They were all just background characters, all just support characters, when literally Momo's right there with one of the most powerful quirks in the entire class, probably in all of the entire city. That is a crazy power. She can literally create so many ridiculously crazy things that she should be limited by the government on what she can actually make. That's how freaking strong Momo can actually be. But she never really shows that. Again, she really could have been that super adaptive character like Edward Elric, just constantly just making brand new things, and making like spears and all these things and electric generators and all these like type of like all this crazy stuff. Or like, again, like Erza having this aura of like being the strong type of big sister female type character, also with incredible power and always the constant threat for any type of enemies. But instead, she's rarely a threat at all for anybody. She could hardly even be a girl whose power is to make big hands. I mean, even look at somebody like Reggie Starr from Jujutsu Kaisen. he almost does the same thing as Momo. He does create things, but look at him. He adapts by making things from just receipts, meaning that everything he can make has already been predetermined, and he has to go through what he already has on him in order to adapt to the situation. Well, Momo doesn't actually have that weakness. She can actually just make up brand new things on the fly. How is Reggie with receipts for things he bought previously better than Momo, who could make up anything on the spot? And that's because, well, the series made her that way. She could have been an amazing character, but the series decided not to do it, or I should say Hiroshiki decided not to do it, and I don't know why. And what's even stranger is her presentation, or I should say her early presentation, because who she is now clashes with that introduction. Early Momo wasn't presented as insecure or hesitant. She was confident, analytical, and composed. During that whole little test, you know, where the bomb and two people had to be the hero and two people had to be the villain, she immediately assessed the situation logically between that first battle between Deku, Ochako, Ida, and Bakugo on how they performed and what they should have done differently. She carried herself like someone who actually belonged to UA's elite. She actually showed why she was a recommendation because of her skill, and not just because what I can only assume now is money. Then all of a sudden, her character's all about lacking self-confidence. Now, don't get me wrong, self-doubt can make an absolutely compelling character. We don't have a lot of type of characters like that, but it feels very disconnected from what we were initially introduced to. She was introduced as somebody who knew her stuff, and now all of a sudden, she's kind of lacking self-confidence, even though we know that she's been training her quirk her entire life. She has the money and the resources that allow her to learn everything she really needed to be able to use her quirk. I mean, just think about the attack on UA. Kaminari said, hey, if I discharge too much of my electricity, it can hurt my companions. Momo, boom, right on the dot, thought of making something that could protect her and Jiro. She wasn't like lacking self-confidence. She heard that, boom, say less. I'm gonna make this big giant super duper quilt and it's not gonna affect us, so put your electricity. That is exactly what Momo should have been. But again, what we got, this lacking self-doubt version of Momo, really just clashes what we were initially introduced to. And rather expanding on her strengths, the story often seemed to reduce her role to someone who second-guessed herself and just supported others from the background, when she has an absolutely amazing quirk and should be kind of like on the front lines kicking ass, but she's really not at all. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Why would you write this character like this? And the worst part is, again, she doesn't have a bad quirk. At least Froppy feels like I would be more comfortable with Froppy near me, or Jiro. At least they kind of like stand out, and I'm like, man, you know, at least they kind of like try, even though Momo has one of the best quirks in the entire series. Horikoshi, he didn't give her a bad quirk at all. He gave her arguably one of the strongest quirks in the series. It's ridiculous. And I think it's so disappointing because I truly like Momo, and I think with her quirk, she really could have been that super strong, tough, badass type of female type of character where all the villains are like, prioritize getting rid of Creativity. She's gonna just make anything that's just gonna stop our plans. Get rid of this woman right now. Make her lose all her stamina so she can't make anything. She should be the #1 threat. She should be more threatening than a guy who can make explosions from his hands, because she can just make rocket launchers. She can make grenades. I don't even understand what's going on. Like, she was going against Takuyami and it's like, she just made a shield. I don't know what to make. I don't know. Maybe make a flashbang. And I know some people are going to be like, well, people didn't know Dark Shadow's weakness during that time. But it took so little for Bakugo to realize that Dark Shadow was weak against light. So she literally saw that Kaminari was able to affect Dark Shadow because they were on the same exact team. So why doesn't she think, why don't I make something with electricity? Because it apparently affected Dark Shadow. But was it the electricity? Was it the light emitted from the electricity? You figure somebody with her level of smarts would at least try. But instead, they just made her like, I don't know what to do. Shield. Oh my God, I got pushed back. It's like, girl, you can make anything. And I know when there's so many options in the world, it could feel like it's crumbling upon you. Like, what can I make? I have so many options. Girl, you were trained with this quirk your whole entire life. It doesn't feel like this is the type of character who should be struggling with this, especially when you introduce her as a super smart character who's super analytical. This is completely contradictory to what we've seen about the character. It feels like Yorokishi just didn't want to do anything with Momo and just said, yeah, let's just give her mental blocks to just not make her as good as she could be, when she could be absolutely amazing. And I don't know why he did this to this character. I just wanted to put that out there. I love Momo. I just thought she could have been one of the best female characters in the entire series. And Class 1A really did need somebody like her because Class 1A was struggling when it came to like female powerhouses. It's a shame that Ojiko never got the gigantification quirk which she was originally supposed to have. That actually could have made her at least a good like a good fighter or something like that. I mean, it's a shame. As much as I like My Hero Academia, I can't lie and not say that they didn't, perform very well with the females, even though we did get some super badass ones. I mean, when they were badass, they were badass. When they are not, then you got Momo. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. No hate on the character whatsoever. I'm just disappointed because I had so much expectations of this character. I mean, a character that could create anything. I mean, seriously, her being a serious hero, a serious threat to villains is laid out right there. And it was just never realized. And I think it's just plainly a shame. So yeah, this is no hate. This is just me just expressing my disappointment because this character could have been actually something. And I think in this series, with a lack of really, really strong main character females, she really could have been that pillar. She really could have been that strong female character for 1A that they completely lacked because, yeah, they're all just background support characters. And I understand you need background support sometimes, but really you couldn't just have like one female character, one just stand out, to stand side by side. Like I said, you see the recommendations. You got Todoroki over here who's constantly doing crazy, awesome stuff. And then there's Momo, who was also a recommendation. And it's like, girl, you got in here because your family got money. That's it. Todoroki, I'm sure, got in there because his dad's the #2 hero, but he also proved why he belonged there. Just saying, I think Momo got in there because the cash, and I really wish the series positioned Momo to have gotten there because of her actual skill. I would have loved to have seen that. Maybe in another My Hero Academia series, we'll actually get a strong female main character, because Pop Step definitely ain't it for vigilantes. I'll tell you that. But that's all I got for you guys, people. Until next time, people, peace out.